This video was brought to you by Embedded System Solution, a company composed of like-minded electrical engineers, computer engineers, and computer scientists, and whose main goal is assisting our engineering customers, non-engineering customers, and technician level customers with their electrical and computer engineering level and technician level needs. Our customers range everywhere from engineering students to university professors, technicians to engineers, junior engineers to senior engineers. Please feel free to visit us at www.embeddedSystemSolution.com. Again, www.embeddedSystemSolution.com, or better yet, email us at support@embeddedSystemSolution.com. And like always, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and like. Okay, so now we're finally ready to talk about firewall. So again, without talking about ports, there's no way you can talk about firewall. So firewall ports is like a prerequisite for firewall. So anyways, so firewall in terms of an application. So firewall first. So the firewall, you can visualize it as residing in the entrance of and the exit, the door basically of the computer. So if in the client, think of the Ethernet port or the Wi-Fi port or the Wi-Fi radio. That's where you can visualize it. So that's where we pictured it. So the firewall intercepts and analyzes every single packet that enters and exits the computer, right? Before it reaches a packet that enters the computer, before it reaches its intended destination and its intended application, the firewall intercepts it. And likewise, any application that wants to communicate with the outside world, before that packet exits the computer, the firewall intercepts it and analyzes it. Now, in terms of firewall, just because an application wants to communicate with the outside world doesn't mean it gets to communicate with the outside world. The application and the firewall are two separate things. A rogue application, for instance, it could want to communicate with the outside world, but unless the firewall says it's in the list. So another way of an analogy in terms of firewall is like a bouncer in a building, right? And so if you want to enter the building, like let's suppose a club, but it's a special type of club. But anyways, so if you want to enter the club, the bouncer looks at the list and it says whether the person can enter or not enter. You cannot negotiate with the bouncer. If you try telling the bouncer, hey, blah, 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 the bouncer's going to say, sorry, I have rules. So that's essentially what a firewall is. It's like rules. So like let's suppose the packet is exiting the computer, and again the like a request from a web server, right? It must exit the firewall. The firewall intercepts this packet, it looks at it, and it analyzes the source IP address, the source port, the destination IP address, and the destination port, and it looks at the list and it determines whether this application A has rights to access the internet, to access the network, like access the Ethernet connection, the IPS, the Internet Protocol Suite. And if it determines no, then it just drops the packet because it's like you're not authorized. But at the same time, maybe the application does have authorization to communicate with the outside world, to construct a frame, but it can only construct it from it can only have the destination of a certain IP address or a certain port, right? So the application can have restrictions in terms of, yes, you can construct a frame and send it out the Ethernet port, but it can only be to this IP address and to this port. And likewise, any packet entering the computer system, it will intercept it and it will analyze it too. And it would compare it to a list of rules that it has, and whether it determines whether, based on the rules, if it passes the rule, the packet is it's allowed to continue on its way. If it doesn't pass the rules, then the packet essentially gets dropped by the firewall.